Imagine a time when the great Stoic philosopher Epictetus was publicly mocked and ridiculed by a wealthy Roman. The man, drunk on power and arrogance, hurled insults and jibes at Epictetus, expecting a reaction of anger or retaliation. But Epictetus remained silent, his countenance serene, his inner peace undisturbed. The more the man ranted, the calmer Epictetus became, until finally the man's words ran dry, and he was left bewildered by the Stoic's unshakable composure. In that profound silence, Epictetus taught a powerful lesson. That true strength lies not in engaging with insults or negativity, but in rising above them with dignity and self-control. His silence spoke volumes about the depths of his character, his unwavering principles, and his mastery over his emotions. My friends, in our modern world of constant noise and reactivity, the art of silence has become a rare and precious commodity. Yet, it is in the stillness that we find our greatest power, our deepest wisdom, and our most profound inner peace. We will explore the moments when speaking less can say more, when restraint becomes our greatest strength, and when our silence emerges as a potent force for personal growth and inner tranquility. So let us begin this odyssey towards mastering the art of silence, guided by the wisdom of the ancient Stoics, and fortified by the knowledge that in the stillness lies the key to a life of profound meaning, resilience, and authentic power. Number 1, when people talk behind your back. It is not the man who reviles or strikes you who insults you, but your opinion that these things are insulting. Epictetus. Imagine a raging wildfire fueled by rumors and whispers, threatening to consume your reputation and peace of mind. In the face of such a blaze, the Stoic response is not to fan the flames with defensiveness or retaliation, but to starve it of oxygen through the power of silence. When gossip swirls around you, like a storm of malicious tongues, remember the wisdom of the Stoics. Your true worth is not defined by the words of others, but by the integrity of your character and the steadfastness of your principles. By engaging with idle talk, you give it energy and life, but by embracing silence, you deny it the very sustenance it craves: attention. As the great Seneca wrote, "The good person will not be affected by insult or injury, for one person cannot be hurt by another unless he is prepared to be hurt." In the face of gossip, let your silence be your shield, your armor, and your strength. For those who truly know you will see through the whispers, and those who believe the rumors were never worthy of your concern in the first place. Remember the story of the Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus, who, when faced with false accusations and slander, chose to remain silent. His accusers, frustrated by his lack of reaction, eventually grew weary, and their accusations lost their potency. In the end, Rufus's silence spoke louder than any defense he could have offered, and his reputation remained untarnished. So the next time you find yourself in the eye of the gossip storm, take a deep breath and let the Stoic teachings guide you. Embrace the silence not as a passive act, but as a strategic response that starves the rumors of their power and allows your actions and character to speak for themselves. In doing so, you will not only rise above the negativity, but also cultivate a profound sense of inner peace and self-respect. Number 2, handling insults. Sickness is a disorder of the body, but not of the self. It is only when we allow it to disturb our equanimity that it becomes a disorder of the mind as well. Epictetus. Imagine a sharp arrow aimed directly at your heart, carrying the venom of insult and pain. In that moment, the Stoic response is not to deflect or retaliate, but to recognize that the true power lies not in the arrow itself, but in your reaction to it. When insults come your way, whether in person, online, or disguised as a joke, remember the profound wisdom of the Stoics. The words of others are a reflection of their own struggles, insecurities, and lapses in judgment, not a true measure of your worth. By separating yourself from the venom of their words, you cultivate a profound inner strength that renders those insults powerless. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe is change our life is what our thoughts make it." In the face of insults, you have a choice. To let those words seep into your core and define you, or to rise above them, secure in the knowledge of who you are and the values that guide you. Remember the story of the Stoic philosopher Cato the Younger, who, when faced with a barrage of insults and mockery from his political opponents, remained steadfast and composed. He recognized that their words were born of their own weaknesses and fears, and by not engaging or retaliating, he maintained his dignity and inner peace, ultimately emerging as the moral victor. So the next time an insult comes your way, pause, breathe, and let the Stoic teachings guide you. Respond, not react. Seek support if needed, but do not grant the insult the power to disrupt your equanimity or diminish your self-respect. For in navigating the storm of insults with Stoic wisdom, you not only protect yourself but also elevate your spirit and cultivate a life that is anchored in unwavering self-worth and inner tranquility. Number 3, dealing with anger. How few things are truly necessary. Seneca. Imagine anger as a raging inferno capable of consuming everything in its path, leaving only ashes and destruction in its wake. In the face of such a blaze, the Stoic response is not to douse it with fuel, but to contain it, harness it, and use it to illuminate rather than destroy. When anger takes hold, it is natural to feel the urge to lash out, to retaliate, or to seek retribution. But the Stoics teach us to pause, to create a space between the trigger and our response. In that momentary stillness, we have the opportunity to choose how we will react, rather than being swept away by the tidal wave of emotion. As Seneca wisely stated, anger is temporary madness. So control your passion, or it will control you. By examining the root of our anger, we can address the underlying issue more effectively than if we simply lash out in blind fury. Remember the story of the Stoic philosopher Cato the Elder, who, when faced with a situation that ignited his anger, would pause and recite the Greek alphabet before responding. This simple act allowed him to regain composure and respond with reason, rather than react with rage. So the next time you feel the fire of anger burning within you, pause, breathe, and let the Stoic teachings guide you. Examine the validity of your anger, and if justified, use it as a tool for positive change, not as a weapon for destruction. Cultivate constructive anger, directed and controlled, that motivates you to address injustices or make necessary changes in your life, but never let it cloud your judgment or dictate your actions. For in embracing the Stoic approach to anger, you do not become emotionless, you become a master of your emotions, responding with reason, wisdom, and integrity, and cultivating a profound inner peace and resilience that transcends the fleeting storms of life. Number 4, facing unfair criticism. The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. Marcus Aurelius. Imagine a torrential downpour of criticism, each drop stinging like a needle, threatening to erode your confidence and self-worth. In the face of such an onslaught, the Stoic response is not to retaliate or defend vehemently, but to pause, breathe, and respond with thoughtful composure. When unjust criticism comes your way, remember the wisdom of the Stoics. Your value and worth are not contingent upon the opinions or judgments of others, but firmly rooted in your own sense of integrity and self-assurance. By detaching your emotional well-being from external appraisal, you shield your inner peace from the fluctuating tides of praise and blame. As Epictetus taught, it is not the things themselves that disturb people's minds, but their judgments about those things. In the face of unjust criticism, consider the source and intentions of the critic. Often, unjust criticism stems more from the critic's own perceptions, insecurities, or internal struggles than it does from any fault of your own. By understanding this, you can view the criticism for what it truly is, a reflection of the critic, not of you. Yet, the Stoic approach does not mean passive acceptance. If there is a kernel of truth in the criticism, even if delivered unfairly, use it as an opportunity for growth. Analyze it objectively. Is there something you can learn or improve upon? The Stoics encourage using every experience, even unpleasant ones, as fuel for personal development. Remember the story of the Stoic philosopher Seneca, who, when unjustly exiled by the Emperor Claudius, did not rail against the injustice, but used his time in exile to write some of his most profound works on philosophy and ethics. His silence in the face of criticism spoke volumes about his character and his ability to find wisdom in even the darkest of circumstances. So when confronted with unjust criticism, let the Stoic teachings be your guide. Pause, breathe, and respond with thoughtful tranquility. Detach your emotional well-being from the opinions of others and focus instead on your own actions, character, and integrity. For these are what truly define you. And should you find truth in the criticism, use it as a catalyst for growth, not as a source of anguish or defensiveness. Number 5, coping with loss. Let the breath lead the way towards peace of mind. Seneca. Imagine a vast, empty chasm where the echoes of loss reverberate, threatening to swallow you whole in a sea of grief and sorrow. In the face of such a profound void, the Stoic response is not to deny the pain or suppress the emotions, but to acknowledge them, process them, and then find the strength to forge a new path forward. Loss is an inevitable part of the human experience, whether it be the loss of a loved one, a relationship, a cherished aspect of our identity, or even a long-held dream. In these moments, the Stoics do not ask us to be indifferent or emotionally detached, but rather to embrace our grief with dignity and purpose. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe's change our life is what our thoughts make it." In the wake of loss, the Stoic teachings invite us to pause, to breathe deeply, and to give ourselves permission to feel the full weight of our emotions, for they are natural responses, not commands to be obeyed blindly. Remember the story of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who, despite being born into slavery and enduring immense hardship, refused to let his losses define him. Instead, he used each challenge as an opportunity for growth, cultivating a profound inner strength and resilience that transcended his circumstances. Number 6, standing up to injustice. The greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it. Epictetus. Imagine a towering wave of injustice crashing against the shores of your life, threatening to sweep you away in a torrent of outrage and despair. In the face of such a formidable force, the Stoic response is not to react with blind fury or to surrender in resigned hopelessness, but to take a step back, assess the situation with clarity and composure, and then act with intention, purpose, and unwavering principle. When confronted with injustice, whether as a witness or as a victim, remember the profound wisdom of the Stoics. Your power lies not in the ability to change every circumstance, but in the choice of how you respond with integrity, resilience, and a commitment to what is right. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe's change our life is what our thoughts make it." In the face of injustice, the Stoic teachings encourage us to focus our efforts on the realms where we have true agency: our actions, our attitudes, and our steadfast adherence to justice and fairness. Remember the story of the Stoic philosopher Cato the Younger, who, when confronted with the tyranny and corruption of the Roman Empire, did not succumb to despair or violence, but instead chose to stand as an unwavering beacon of moral fortitude and resistance. His principled actions inspired generations to come and ultimately contributed to the downfall of the oppressive regime. So, when the tides of injustice threaten to overwhelm you, let the Stoic teachings be your anchor. Act with intention and purpose, whether it be raising awareness, supporting those affected, or working towards systemic change. But in your actions, remain grounded in your deeper understanding of justice and your commitment to what is right. Cultivate inner resilience, for facing injustice can be draining and disheartening. But remember, your inner citadel, your core of Stoic strength, remains untouched, even as you bear witness to the outer chaos. Draw strength from your community. Connect with others who stand in solidarity. And together find the collective wisdom and fortitude to navigate these choppy waters with grace and resilience. For in embracing the Stoic approach to injustice, you do not turn a blind eye or surrender in despair, but rather act from a place of measured, principled strength, acknowledging your emotions without letting them overwhelm you, and focusing on what you can do, however small, to contribute to a more just and equitable world. Number 7, responding to ignorance. It is not the man who reviles or strikes you who insults you, but your opinion that these things are insulting. Epictetus. Imagine a dense fog of ignorance, obscuring the truth and threatening to lead you astray. In the face of such a hazy circumstance, the Stoic response is not to blindly argue or belittle, but to approach with patience, empathy, and a genuine desire to understand and, if possible, to enlighten. When confronted with ignorance, whether in a discussion, a debate, or even in the words and actions of those around you, remember the profound wisdom of the Stoics. Ignorance is not a battle to be won, but an opportunity to practice compassion, humility, and the art of thoughtful communication. As Epictetus taught, it is not the things themselves that disturb people's minds, but their judgments about those things. In the face of ignorance, listen deeply, not just to the words being spoken, but to the experiences, fears, and perceptions that shape the other person's viewpoint. By truly listening, you open yourself to understanding, not endorsement. Remember the story of the Stoic philosopher Seneca, who, when confronted with ignorance and misinformation, would respond not with condemnation, but with gentle guidance and a willingness to learn. He recognized that true wisdom lies not in the arrogance of assumed knowledge, but in the humility of being a lifelong student, ever open to expanding one's understanding. So when navigating the fog of ignorance, let the Stoic teachings be your guiding light. Approach with patience and a genuine desire to understand, for in doing so, you may find opportunities to teach or to learn, to offer information respectfully, or to ask questions that broaden your own horizons. But if the ignorance you face is harmful or dangerous, the Stoic approach does not demand passivity. Take a stand, voice your concerns, or provide accurate information. But do so with composure, never letting anger or frustration cloud your judgment. And when the battle seems futile, remember the wisdom of choosing your battles wisely. Sometimes the most graceful response is to walk away, conserving your energy for more fruitful endeavors. For in embracing the Stoic way of navigating ignorance, you do not engage in fruitless arguments or condemnation, but rather cultivate a deep well of patience, empathy, and a commitment to lifelong learning. You confront not just the ignorance of others, but also your own blind spots, ever seeking to expand your understanding and challenge. Here is the continuation of the Stoic script on silence. Number 8, when others brag. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Epictetus. Imagine a cacophony of boasts, each one louder and more exaggerated than the last, as those around you vie for attention and validation. In the face of such a clamor, the Stoic response is not to join the chorus or to engage in a battle of egos, but to embrace a profound silence. A silence that speaks volumes about your confidence, humility, and self-assurance. When confronted with boasting, whether from colleagues, acquaintances, or even loved ones, remember the wisdom of the Stoics. True worth and contentment come not from external accolades or recognition, but from an unwavering sense of inner peace and self-acceptance. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe's change our life is what our thoughts make it." In the face of boasts, choose to listen quietly and reflect inwardly. By doing so, you resist the competitive urge to validate or one-up the boaster, and instead stay true to your values, focusing on your own path and sense of self-worth. Remember the story of the Stoic philosopher Diogenes, who, when confronted by a wealthy man boasting of his lavish possessions and status, simply pointed to a disheveled man and said, "That man has even less than I, yet he seems content." In that moment, Diogenes taught that true wealth lies not in material possessions or external validation, but in the freedom that comes from having few wants and finding contentment within. So when the air is thick with boasts and self-congratulation, let the Stoic teachings guide you. Embrace the silence, not as a passive act, but as an active choice that speaks to your confidence and self-assurance. Observe and learn about others. Seek to understand what drives their need for validation, but do not feel compelled to join the chorus. And if the boasting becomes too much, tipping into arrogance or falsehoods, respond with measured kindness and truth, but never from a place of deflation or humiliation. For the Stoic path teaches us to meet arrogance with humility, and to offer others the space to express themselves, even if their way does not resonate with us. In practicing the Stoic silence amidst boasts, you cultivate a profound inner peace, humility, and a deep-seated confidence that does not depend on external validation. You learn to appreciate your own worth without the need to broadcast it, and in doing so, you offer others the gift of your presence and your willingness to listen without judgment. Number 9, ignoring baseless rumors. It is not the things themselves that trouble us, but our judgments about these things. Epictetus. Imagine a swirling vortex of rumors, each one more damaging and unfounded than the last, threatening to tarnish your reputation and erode your sense of self. In the face of such a maelstrom, the Stoic response is not to rush into the fray, battling rumor with counter-rumor, but to pause, breathe, and embrace a powerful silence. A silence that denies the rumors the very oxygen they crave and allows the truth to surface without intervention. When unfounded rumors begin to swirl around you, remember the profound wisdom of the Stoics. Your worth is not determined by the words of others, but by the integrity of your character and the steadfastness of your principles. By engaging with the rumor mill, you give it energy and life. But by choosing silence, you rise above the fray, conserving your energy and maintaining your peace. As Seneca wrote, "The good person will not be affected by insult or injury, for one person cannot be hurt by another unless he is prepared to be hurt." In the face of unfounded rumors, let your silence be your shield, your armor, and your strength. For those who truly know you will not be swayed by hearsay, and those who choose to believe the worst were never worthy of your concern in the first place. Remember the story of the Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus, who, when faced with slanderous accusations from his rivals, chose to remain silent. His accusers, frustrated by his lack of response, eventually grew weary, and their false claims lost their potency. In the end, Rufus's silence spoke louder than any defense he could have offered, and his reputation remained untarnished. So when the storm of unfounded rumors rages around you, take refuge in the Stoic teachings. Embrace the silence, not as an admission of guilt or defeat, but as a conscious, powerful choice. A choice to rise above the fray and let your actions and character speak for themselves. And in this silence, find an opportunity for introspection. Look inward, fortify your inner citadel against the slings and arrows of misinformation. And find clarity, strength, and a deeper sense of who you are and what you stand for. For in practicing the Stoic art of silence amidst rumors, you cultivate a resilience that allows you to navigate the choppy waters of public opinion with grace, anchoring yourself in your truth and moving through the world with a quiet confidence that no rumor can shake. Number 10, not getting swept away by flattery. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. Epictetus. Imagine a warm breeze carrying whispers of praise and admiration, each one more intoxicating than the last. In the face of such flattery, the Stoic response is not to bask in the glow of ego-stroking words, but to embrace a humble silence. A silence that anchors you in the truth of who you are, beyond the fleeting currents of external validation. When compliments and accolades come your way, remember the profound wisdom of the Stoics. True self-worth is not contingent upon the opinions of others, but upon the integrity of your character and the steadfastness of your values. By remaining silent amidst flattery, you resist the temptation to let your ego swell, or to define yourself by the ever-changing tides of praise and adulation. As Seneca wisely stated, "The blessed person is not the one who has the most, but the one who needs the least." In the face of flattery, Your silence is a testament to your ability to find contentment and fulfillment within, rather than seeking it from the words of others. Remember the story of the Stoic philosopher Cleanthes, who, when praised for his scholarly achievements, would simply nod and remain silent. His quiet humility spoke louder than any words, for it revealed a man who understood that true greatness lies not in the accolades of others, but in the relentless pursuit of wisdom and virtue. So when the warm winds of flattery begin to blow, let the Stoic teachings guide you. Listen with grace, but do not let the words intoxicate you or sway you from your path. In your silence, offer a powerful counterpoint. A living example of humility, self-awareness, and deep-seated confidence that is not swayed by the ever-changing currents of external validation. Number 11, turning away from temptation. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. Imagine a siren's call, luring you towards temptations that promise fleeting pleasure but threaten to erode your principles and inner peace. In the face of such enticements, the Stoic response is not to engage in internal debate or rationalization, but to embrace a profound silence. A silence that fortifies your resolve and anchors you in the unwavering truth of your values. When temptation beckons, whether it be the allure of indulgence, the siren song of excess, or the whispers of shortcuts that compromise your integrity, remember the timeless wisdom of the Stoics. True freedom lies not in the pursuit of fleeting pleasures, but in the mastery of one's desires and the cultivation of self-discipline. As Epictetus taught, seek not the good in external things, seek it in yourselves. In the face of temptation, your silence is a powerful affirmation of your commitment to living in alignment with your deepest values and aspirations. Remember the story of the Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus, who, when offered a position of power and wealth in exchange for compromising his principles, remained silent. His silence spoke volumes, for it revealed a man who understood that true riches lie not in material possessions, but in the integrity of one's character and the peace of a life well lived. So, when the siren's call of temptation threatens to lure you from your path, let the Stoic teachings be your anchor. Embrace the silence, not as a passive act, but as a powerful affirmation of your commitment to living in accordance with your values and your vision for a life of meaning and purpose. In this silence, you fortify your resolve, you resist the seductive whispers of fleeting pleasures, and you emerge stronger, more resilient, and more deeply rooted in the truth of who you are and what you stand for. Number 12, finding calm in chaos. The universe as change our life is what our thoughts make it. Marcus Aurelius. Imagine a whirlwind of chaos with events and circumstances swirling around you, threatening to overwhelm your senses and uproot your inner equilibrium. In the face of such turbulence, the Stoic response is not to be swept away by the currents of reactivity, but to embrace a profound silence. A silence that stills the storm and allows you to navigate the chaos with clarity, resilience, and unwavering composure. When the world around you seems to descend into chaos, whether it be personal upheaval, professional upheaval, or the tumult of global events beyond your control, remember the eternal wisdom of the Stoics. True peace and equanimity are not found in the absence of chaos, but in the ability to maintain your inner stillness amidst the swirling winds of change. As Seneca eloquently stated, circumstances don't make the man, they only reveal him to himself. In the face of chaos, your silence is a powerful testament to your ability to remain grounded, to find your center, and to respond to life's storms with grace and fortitude. Remember the story of the Stoic philosopher Zeno, who, when his ship was caught in a violent storm, remained calm and composed amidst the panic of his fellow passengers. His silence spoke volumes, for it revealed a man who understood that true strength lies not in the ability to control external events, but in the mastery of one's internal state. So, when the whirlwinds of chaos threaten to uproot your inner equilibrium, let the Stoic teachings be your anchor. Embrace the silence, not as a retreat from the world, but as a powerful affirmation of your ability to remain steadfast and resilient in the face of life's storms. In this silence, you cultivate the clarity to navigate the chaos with wisdom and purpose. you fortify your inner citadel against the buffeting winds of change. And you emerge not just unscathed, but stronger, wiser, and more deeply rooted in the eternal truth that true peace lies not in the absence of storms, but in the unwavering strength of your spirit. As we conclude our journey into the transformative power of silence, remember that the wisdom of the Stoics is not a call to passivity or emotional detachment, but rather an invitation to cultivate a profound inner strength, resilience, and a deep sense of peace that transcends the noise and chaos of our modern world. In those moments when you choose silence over words, you embrace a path of personal growth, self-discovery, and unwavering dignity. You transform challenges into opportunities for growth and serenity, and you emerge not just unscathed, but stronger, wiser, and more attuned to the essence of what truly matters. So let us embrace the art of silence. Not as a retreat from the world, but as a profound engagement with our innermost selves, a journey towards wisdom, tranquility, and an authentic life lived in harmony with the timeless teachings of the Stoics.